Let's talk a little bit about the astrology and folk magic that are available to us in the week of April 29th through May 5th. If you don't know me, I am Crystal Lynn. I am the one who runs the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom, particularly on Patreon, where we do learn astrology and folk magic in live lessons, in a book club, in magical elections every month, and in a lot of fun ways. And I want to share with you right now what's coming up this week and what you can do with it. Some ideas to keep in mind, what to be on the lookout for, and then how to apply that energy in a way that feels aligned, not only with what's going around, but with what you're feeling inside as well. So the first thing I want to do, because the astrology is interesting this week, I want to share my screen. I'm going to bring up Luna. And so here we have the very beginning of the week, because we're actually going to go on a bit of a journey here day by day. So the first thing that we're going to experience this week is that Mars will be conjunct on the 29th. So this is Mars separating by a little bit. If we went back by a few hours, which I can do over here, and I'm just going to push it 5 hours just to be on the safe side, that moves the ascendant here. So now we find that Mars hasn't risen yet. If Mars were to be in this part of the chart, the top half, that means Mars is in the sky above the horizon. At this point, it's around midnight. We can tell because the sun's down here. So you can see it's actually 2:27 a.m. So the sun is at the bottom of the chart and will move in that direction towards the ascendant, rise, give us our daytime, and then set. That's how a chart works. So if you've ever wondered what you're looking at, that's what you're looking at. And so during the day, we're not going to be able to see many of these planets because they are out during the day when the sun is brightening the sky. But we will notice that Mars here is now conjunct Neptune early in the hours of the 29th, and then continues to separate from that. But the fun things that happen this week is that we will have two planets moving into signs of their domicile. And I'm going to give us a minute here, or just a second, where we can look at the chart and see which planets may be changing signs and which planets may be moving into the sign of their domicile. So I'm going to give us a beat of about 3 seconds. Look at the number on the chart and say which one seems to be moving. This feels like Dora the Explorer. Okay, so you said Venus and Mars look like they are getting ready to move into a new sign. You are correct. And they are both going to be doing that one day after the other this week. So what we can do here, and I'm going to pull it up to make sure we can see it exactly. If you click on Venus twice in Luna, you can actually get to the event navigator, and we can do zodiac sign transit. So what you'll see is on the 29th, as well as that conjunction with Neptune and Mars, we have Venus moving into Taurus by 7:31 a.m. where I'm located. This is on the East Coast. So now we have Venus in Taurus, which is her sign of domicile, and it's wonderful for her to be there. She also has some triplicity here, and she is in what is considered chariot. Chariot is when a planet is in a sign of their domicile and the sun is also there. So we have Venus in chariot with the sun because the sun is also in Taurus. The only thing that's sad about this is that Venus is, of course, considered just about combust with the sun. She is so close to the sun by degree, usually within 8 degrees or so. We consider that combust, burned up so much that they really aren't able to do what they would normally do until they are reborn again during the cazimi, or the conjunction with the sun, and then rise out of the beams on the other side. So Venus is currently setting rays of the sun now. She is catching up with the sun. She will conjoin with the sun and she will rise on the other side, but that will happen when they are both in Gemini. So Venus is in her domicile, is in a nice triplicity for her, and is in chariot with the sun. She's doing a lot better than she was in her detriment in Aries just hours before. Now, the other planet we're looking at here, of course, does relate to Aries. We see Mars. Now we're going to do the same thing here. And if we come in here and do the zodiac sign transit, we see that on the 30th, around 11:30 a.m. in my time zone in East Coast, Mars will also move into the sign of his domicile in Aries. So we have both of these planets now in their domicile, strong, able to do what they need to do. Mars actually has more agency to do what Mars wants to do than Venus, because Venus is now burned up by the sun, even though the sun is there as a support as well. It's a very complicated mix of what we would call dignity. Mars is far enough away from the sun that Mars is visible. If you get up in the morning early enough before the sun rises, you would be able to see Mars on the horizon before the sun rises. So Mars is visible. Mars is moving direct. Mars is in the sign of his domicile. He can do what he wants to do here. Venus is leaning on the sun and looking to the sun for approval for a lot of stuff. And the sun may even be enacting things for Venus, kind of like someone you're leaning on helps you get through things when you're not feeling at your most firm. But she has all of her resources with her. She has the sun there for support. So there is support there, making things even more lovely for her. So those are the things that we really want to think about this week of the planets moving into new signs. And we can also see that, of course, because they are so close to the beginning of the sign, there's another planet that has been moving back and forth over a sign cusp that will be interacting with both of them as well. And of course, when Mars comes into Aries and prepares to have this sextile aspect with Pluto, the moon will also be conjoining with Pluto and will be squaring Venus. So we're seeing that Pluto is having a conversation with these two planets this week as well, which may lead us to really redefine what stepping into our power looks like if we're thinking about Mars, what our ambition and our goals look like if we're thinking about Mars, what our comforts and our values look like if we're thinking about Venus. This may be a time where we come back to this time of feeling suited for this energy, but really redefining it for who we are now. And the moon makes that feel even more personal. So what kind of folk magic can we do in association with this energy? We are now, of course, in the last quarter phase. I'm going to pop over here and we'll go to the last quarter moon that happens on May 1st. So the moon is now in the last quarter phase this week, waning from Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, and eventually next week getting into Taurus, where she will have that new moon in Taurus, where she is exalted. So that's something that we can look forward to as far as resting and recovering and giving ourselves permission to have that rest time. Now we are coming into a time where we are thinking about how we've done so far. Think about what you've done even since the eclipse on April 8th and how you feel different, where you feel you are at with that. And if you want to even think back like 6 months and how far you've come, we'll talk more about that when we get into the Taurus new moon. But what we want to think about here is, what am I finishing? What is ready for completion? What final touches are needed so that when I decide I am ready to rest and be finished, I can be, because everything is completed. That's a great thing to think about, especially with the moon being in Aquarius. What high level things, what strategies need to be completed or understood so that everything can run smoothly from here on out? So those are things to think about as we continue with the waning moon energy, and in folk magic, that of course continues to release things. But now moving towards the balsamic phase, I do want to encourage healing, recovery, rest, allowing things their quiet silence so that you can have the new energy rebirthed with that new moon. So these are the things I recommend here. Again, you can check out the Modern School of Ancient Wisdom for more wisdom and knowledge and deeper dives every week into this information. And I hope that you take all of this energy this week and that you are able to use it to rest, to recover, to put the final touches on things, and to find clarity in everything that you need. Have a great week.